It's the Daily Dog.
Hey y'all, welcome back to the Daily Dog. I am thankful that you are hanging out with me today. Y'all, it is a brand new month, and I am very pleased to once again in the month of August be including some guest DJ episodes here on the channel. We did this back in May. All 4 Wednesdays in May, we had guest DJs that are trivia winners. In April, we had a live stream, and these supporters of the channel came, and they were on the live stream with us, and they answered the trivia questions correctly, and the prize was that they got to pick the repertoire. They got to pick the song for that particular day's Daily Doug, and it went over very well. I very much enjoyed the episodes, and so about a week ago, when we gathered our Patreon community together to celebrate our 1-year anniversary of the Patreon being active, we did it again. We did more trivia questions, and this time we gave away 5 guest DJ spots. So all 5 Wednesdays here in August of 2022, we're going to be looking at music that is specifically picked by our trivia winners, our Patreon supporters, and I am very pleased to be doing this, especially because we get to start off with our friend Pedro. So thanks to Pedro for your support of the channel, and Pedro has selected for us Chasing Shadows by the band Kansas. Now, I have only reacted to 2 songs by Kansas previously on the channel. Magnum Opus was from last June, and Song for America was from last September. So it is about time to include more music from Kansas here on the channel. This song is from Vinyl Confessions, the band's 8th album, released in 1982. It has just celebrated its 40th anniversary earlier this summer. And as I read in, the album marked a new era for the band. Previous lead singer Steve Walsh had recently departed the band. Kerry Livgren and Dave Hope had converted to Christianity relatively recently prior to this, and these spiritual topics began to become evident in their lyrics and in their songwriting. And so to fill the void of Steve Walsh leaving the band, they hired John Elefante as their new lead vocalist, and John provides the songwriting for this particular song along with his brother Dino. So we've got John Elefante on keyboards and lead vocals. We've got Kerry Livgren on guitar and keyboards. Robbie Steinhardt is on the violin and vocals. Rich Williams is on guitar. Dave Hope is on the bass, and Phil Ehart is on the drums. So let's see what they've got, y'all. I have not heard this tune, so this will be a first-time listen. We're going to the studio recording, and it is Chasing Shadows by the band Kansas. Here we go. Piano led. Some string pads in it. E minor.
Some of you may know me, and many of you won't. I am just a player in the band.
Nice.
Some of you will listen, and some of you
Down to flat 7.
Some of you may
Goes to relative major.
and some of you
Then it's flat 7.
all of us, we are an audience.
Lovely.
Looking for evidence.
All of us, we are an audience looking for evidence to help it all make sense.
Have we left the answers far behind?
Ooh, it's a lovely sound.
Are we running from the light?
There's some modal play between the F sharp and the F natural of that progression as it started.
Chasing shadows in the night.
All right, flat 6, flat 7, 1, and we get back to E.
Tell me, have you noticed the tide is rolling in? The waves are
G.
crashing harder now. The shore is wearing thin.
Nice.
the message in the bottle
to A,
has been lost
up to C, up to E, right up the scale, all the way to G. Huh.
Have we left the answers far behind?
Yeah, hang on a second. Hang on. I gotta point this out. That was really cool. So they got down to this F chord, and then it was just right up by thirds, right up the scale. Up to A, right, then up to C, and then they went up to E, and then they went up to G, right, just right up the scale. And then as they started that chorus, it was that flat 7, that F chord, down to E minor, and then they went to an F sharp right after that. So it starts off da dum, ya da dum, then it switches to the F sharp. That's interesting. I need to go back a little bit earlier in the song, and let's see if I can hear some of that again. Here we go. So we're back in the chorus. Chasing shadows in the night. So they're in the minor key, down by step. Use that to go to relative major. And then use that to go down by step. That's a nice little 4-chord progression. And then right up they go, up to A, bum, bum, up to C, bum, bum, up to E, bum, bum. So they're traveling along that road, right? Down to F, to E, far behind. It's so cool, that cross relation.
Chasing shadows in the night.
Chasing shadows in the night. Right. They're doing the exact same thing again, except they're starting on the A. To the G. A.
Have we left the answers far behind? Are we running from the light?
Cool.
And our legs are growing weaker.
Man, the vocals that they had are just
Chasing
great.
shadows in the night.
There's a lot going on in this little song, y'all.
Chasing shadows.
And I think they're going to keep chasing shadows. It ends unfinished. It's a lovely choice as well. There's a lot going on in that little song, isn't there? Wow. A couple of things. The Wikipedia article from this song or from this album mentions that this song specifically points out the frustration in seeking anything outside of biblical truth. And that struck me as a weird thing to say because there's no source for that statement. I'm not sure where it came from. It's unclear to me of how actually true it is or if the band members have said that specific thing about their intent behind the song. In the context of the broader album, I guess, with some of these Christian themes being pretty overtly included in the lyrics, it makes sense to me to tie this to Christianity as well. But there's no overt references to dogma, and the language is open enough that it can apply to any number of applications and interpretation. It's at its core, it's a song about seeking enlightenment, about seeking answers to life's questions. If we go back to verse 1, all of us, we are an audience looking for evidence to help it all make sense. And then it goes into the chorus, have we left the answers far behind? Are we running from the light? And our legs growing weaker, chasing shadows in the night. It's not really an indictment on us or a call for us to go seek these answers. It assumes that we already are. Right? Because it says, have we left the answers far behind? It's alluding that we know what the answers are, or that we've at least understood an answer or enlightenment in this context. And maybe it's just saying when we find these moments of realization or enlightenment, or along our path, we find these places where we can move forward in our journey, to not be afraid of that, to not be afraid of that change, to not run from that, to not be afraid of that, and to find strength in the truths that we find along the way, whether they're in spirituality or not. I think it can be implied in a myriad of different ways, which is the mark of a nice song, I think. It's a really lovely sound. It reminds me of what I've heard from Kansas before, although I did read that the general approach to songwriting in this album was different than what they had done in the past. In terms of the sounds that they went for. But this one sounds like classic Kansas to me, and it sounds quite lovely, if you ask me. This was a fun little piece. Thank you, Pedro, for sending it this piece our way. Chasing Shadows by Kansas. Thanks, y'all, for hanging out with us today, and we will see you next time on another edition of The Daily Doug.